Hi, everyone. So, my read aloud for today is a story by Sharon Creech. Remember, she wrote Hate That Cat, or maybe you don't know, but that's a great one. This one's called Love That Dog. It's actually a novel in verse. So, we read Words with Wings and we read Garvey's Choice. Remember that a novel in verse is actually a poem, but it sounds and it reads like a book. So I'm excited about this one because I love Sharon Creech. She also wrote Saving Winslow, and I have a read aloud that I did for that. This story is all about Jack, and Jack is asked to write poetry in his class. And Jack does not want to write a poem. He doesn't think he's going to be any good with it. And so we'll discover what Jack discovers in Love That Dog. So when he talks about the poem The Red Wheelbarrow, that's actually a poem by William Carlos Williams. And it goes like this. So much depends upon the red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. That's it. That's the whole poem. So in the first couple of pages, he's going to kind of make fun of that poem and think, what did that mean? That was a poem? It actually is a famous poem. So here we go. Finally, the first page is called, it just says Jack. Room 105, Miss Stretchberry, September 13th. I don't want to because boys don't write poetry. Girls do. Oh, baloney. Jack has no idea. Definitely. Some of the most famous poets are boys, males. Right now, he wants no part of it. September 21st. I tried. Can't do it. Brain's empty. September 27th. I don't understand the poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens and why so much depends upon them. If that is a poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens, then any words can be a poem. You've just got to make short lines. And poetry can be easy to write. Sometimes there's a little bit more to it than just writing down anything and making them short. But in this book, he's right about the fact that it's actually a poem and there's short lines. People love to read these novels in verse. I think they go by it really quickly, though. I think they love all the white space, some of them. October 4th. Ooh, some time has passed. Do you promise not to read it out loud? Do you promise not to put it on the board? Maybe he's written a poem. Okay, here it is, but I don't like it. So much depends upon a blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road. And that's the end of his poem. October 10th. So 6 days have gone by. What do you mean? Why does so much depend upon a blue car? You didn't say before that I had to tell why. The wheelbarrow guy didn't tell why. So I think she wants a little more from Jack, maybe. Sounds to me like she's kind of encouraging him to write a little more. October 17th. What was up with the Snowy Woods poem you read today? Why doesn't the person just keep going if he's got so many miles to go before he sleeps? And why do I have to tell more about the blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road? I don't want to write about that blue car that had miles to go before it slept. So many miles to go in such a hurry. October 24th. I am sorry to say I did not really understand the Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright poem, but at least it sounded good in my ears. Sometimes we just like the way poems sound. Have you ever discovered that? Maybe you don't know really what it means, but you like the way it sounds. I remember Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. I remember reading that in high school. Here is the blue car with tiger sounds. Blue car, shining bright in the darkness of the night. Who could you see speeding by like a comet in the sky? I could see you in the night, blue car, shining bright. I could see you speeding by like a comet in the sky. Some of the tiger sounds are still in my ears like drums beat, beat, beating. Ooh, Jack doesn't realize it, but he gets the beat of a poem, doesn't he? He likes it. I think he's appreciating poetry more than he realizes. October 31st. Ooh, do you remember what October 31st is? Halloween? I think you're onto something. October 31st. Yes, you can put the 2 blue card poems on the board, but only if you don't put my name on them. November 6th. They look nice typed up like that on blue paper on a yellow board. But still, don't tell anyone who wrote them, okay? And what does anonymous mean? Is it good? So she's starting to put his poems up on the board, but not telling who has written them. So, wow, that's really cool, I think. The classmates come in from recess and they see a poem on the board and they don't know it's Jack's. It's anonymous. Do you know what anonymous means? When you see something that's anonymous, that means that we don't know who wrote it, or the person writing it just doesn't want us to know. So it's called anonymous. We're not sure who the author is. So right now, his poems are put on the board anonymously. November 9th. I don't have any pets, so I can't write about one, and especially I can't write a poem about one. But Jack's already written some poems, hasn't he? Still thinks he can't. November 15th. Yes, I used to have a pet. I don't want to write about it. You're going to ask me? Why not? Right? She's going to ask him why he doesn't have a pet anymore. Ooh, remember it's called Love That Dog? Maybe something happened to it. November 22nd. That's around Thanksgiving time. Pretend I still have that pet? Can I make up a pet or a different one, like a tiger or a hamster, a goldfish, turtle, snail, worm, flea? November 29th. I liked those small poems we read today. When they're small like that, you can read a whole bunch in a short time. And then in your head are all the pictures of all the small things from all the small poems. I liked how the kitten leaped in the cat poem and how you could see the long head of the horse in the horse poem. And I especially liked the dog in the dog poem because that's just how my yellow dog used to lie down, with his tongue all limp and his chin between his paws, and how he'd sometimes chomp at a fly and then sleep in his loose skin, just like that poet Miss Valerie Worth says in her small dog poem. Ooh, he's starting to write things down about his dog, doesn't he? So we know his dog is or was yellow, and he used to lie down with his tongue all limp and his chin between his paws. And isn't it cute when dogs do that? It's called ooking, by the way. When they ook, it's like they learn. They know that's cute. At least my dogs have learned that's cute, and they get what they want. December 4th. Why do you want to type up what I wrote about reading the small poems? It's not a poem, is it? I guess you can put it on the board if you want to, but don't put my name on it in case other people think it's not a poem. She must have liked what he had to write about his dog right then, when he wasn't writing a poem. But really kind of was, wasn't he? So anonymously, she's putting that on the board. December 13th. I guess it does look like a poem when you see it typed up like that. But I think maybe it would look better if there was more space between the lines, like how I wrote it the first time. And I like the picture of the yellow dog you put beside it. But that's not how my yellow dog looked. Ooh, I want to know how his yellow dog looked then. January 10th, so they're back from Christmas break. I really did not get the pasture poem you read today. I mean, somebody's going out to the pasture to clean the spring and to get the little tottery calf while he's out there, and he isn't going to be gone long, and he wants you, who is you, to come too. I mean, really. And you said that Mr. Robert Frost, who wrote about the pasture, was also the one who wrote about those snowy woods. Yes. And the miles to go before he sleeps. Well, I think Mr. Robert Frost has a little too much time on his hands because he's writing poems, apparently. Sounds like Jack does not really like the one about the calf, and it's talking to the reader in that poem, and he wants to know who you is. Sometimes in a poem, The poet will speak to the reader and say, you. January 17th. Remember the wheelbarrow poem you read the first week of school? Maybe the wheelbarrow poet was just making a picture with words and someone else, like maybe his teacher typed it up and then people thought it was a poem because it looked like one typed up like that. And maybe that's the same thing that happened with Mr. Robert Frost. Maybe he was just making pictures with words about the snowy woods and the pasture, and his teacher typed them up and they looked like poems, so people thought they were poems. Like how you did with the blue car things and reading the small poems thing on the board. Typed up, they look like poems, and the other kids are looking at them and they think they really are poems. And they are all saying, who wrote that? January 24th. Jack's really got some ideas, doesn't he? We were going for a drive, and my father said, we won't be gone long. You come too. And so I went, and we drove and drove until we stopped at a red brick building with a sign in blue letters, Animal Protection Shelter. And inside we walked down a long cement path, past cages with all kinds of dogs, big and small, fat and skinny. Oh, I'm starting to really relate to this because our dog Graham we got from the animal shelter, and he was a yellow dog. Oh, and I hope I don't cry. And we sure did love Graham. We adopted him. We loved that yellow dog. Some of them hiding in the corner, but most of them barking and jumping up against the wire cage as we walked past, as if they were saying, me, choose me, I'm the best one. And that's where we saw the yellow dog, standing against the cage with his paws curled around the wire and his long red tongue hanging out and his big black eyes looking a little sad and his long tail wagging as if he were saying, me, choose me. And we did. We chose him. And in the car, he put his head against my chest and wrapped his paws around my arm as if he were saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other dogs in the cages get killed dead if nobody chooses them. Oh, now thankfully here in Franklin County, they find homes. It may take a while, but they find homes for just about all the dogs. But it's true, those dogs do need homes. And so when you rescue a dog, it sounds like Jack rescued a dog, you'll discover how wonderful that is and how the dogs are just so appreciated and love you so much. It's a joy like no other joy, its own specific joy. Have any of you ever adopted or rescued a dog or cat or an animal? That's something you can tell me in an email. I'd love to hear from you. All righty, getting back to our story. Our novel in verse, our story. January 31st. Yes, you can type up what I wrote about my yellow dog, but leave off the part about the other dogs getting killed dead because that's too sad. And don't put my name on it, please. And maybe it would look good on yellow paper. And maybe the title should be, You Come Too. Wonder what he means by you come too. Does that mean other animals get to come and get adopted? Or does it mean you can come along too? Or maybe he's talking about his dog, like, hey, you can come with us. I don't know. Let's find out. February 7th, we're moving along in the school year, aren't we? Yes, it looks good on yellow paper, but you forgot again to leave more space between the lines like I did when I wrote it. That's okay, though. I love how he put extra space right there. He likes the space between the lines. February 15th. I like that poem we read today about street music in the city. My street is not in the middle of the city, so it doesn't have that loud music of horns and trucks, clash, flash, screech. My street on the edge of a city. My street is on the edge of a city, and it has quiet music, most of the time wisp, meow, swish. My street is a thin one, and he's written thin in a poetic way, making it look thin. My street is a thin one with houses on both sides, and my house is the white one with the red door. There is not much traffic on my street, not like in the middle of a city. We play in the yards, and sometimes in the street in the street, but only if a grown-up or the big kids are out there too, or they will shout, "Car!" if they see a car coming down our street. At both ends of our street are yellow signs that say, "Caution, children at play." But sometimes the cars pay no attention and speed down the road as if they are in a big hurry with many miles to go before they sleep. Oh, notice Robert Frost, the poem about the snowy stopping on a snowy woods. He's kind of referenced that back. Be careful if you write a poem, you don't want to steal other poets' lines. That's called plagiarism, when you take someone's line and act like it's your own. But it's kind of cute here, but you've got to be careful. And I love how he's describing the scene. I can just picture it. Can you picture it in your head? And when people yell, "Car!" I can just totally picture that. February 21st. That was so great, those poems you showed us where the words make the shape of the thing that is the poem is about, like the one about an apple that was shaped like an apple, and the one about the house that was shaped like a house. My brain was popping when I was looking at those poems. I never knew a poet person could do that funny kind of thing. Have you ever seen a poem like that where it's shaped like it's about basketball and it's shaped like a basketball, called shape poems? I think that's pretty neat. February 26th. I tried one of those poems that looks like what it's about. This is called My Yellow Dog by Jack. So this is an example of what we're talking about. That's a type of poem. And they make it shaped like what it's about. So he has leg, body, head. And it may not seem like a poem, but that's a type of poem. It's poetry. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Slobber, slobber, slobber. Ooh, Jack's getting the idea, definitely. So he's described his dog, and now he's writing a poem, a different type of poem about his dog. March 1st. Yes, you can type up the yellow dog poem that looks like a dog, but this time keep the spaces exactly the same, and maybe it would look really, really good on yellow paper. Maybe you could put my name on it, but only if you want to, only if you think it looks good enough. March 7th. I was a little embarrassed when people said things to me like, "Neat poem, Jack," and "How'd you think of that, Jack?" And I really, really like the one you put up about the tree that is shaped like a tree. Not a fake-looking tree, but like a real tree with straggly branches. But I want to know, who is the anonymous poet in our class who wrote that? And why didn't he or she want to put his or her name on it? Was it like me when I didn't think my words were poems? Oh, now he said, like he's talking about himself in the past, like, remember how I used to be and I didn't think my words were poems? Now Jack realizes his words can make poems. He knows he's a poet. So he's curious about someone else, I think. Why does this person have anonymous next to it? Like maybe he's changed and grown since the beginning of the year. I think Jack has more confidence now. What do you all think? Maybe you will tell the anonymous tree poet that his or her tree poem is really a poem. Really, really, and a good poem too. March 14th. That was the best poem you read yesterday by Walter Dean Myers. The best poem ever. I am sorry I took the book home without asking. I only got one spot on it. That's why the page is torn. I tried to get the spot out. I copied the best poem and hung it on my bedroom wall, right over my bed, where I can see it when I'm lying down. Maybe you could copy it too and hang it on the wall in our class, so we can see it when we are sitting at our desks doing our stuff. I sure like that poem by Walter Dean Myers called Love That Boy. Ooh, love that boy? Love that dog? Because of two reasons I liked it. One is because my dad calls me in the morning just like that. He calls, "Hey there, son." And also because when I had my yellow dog, I loved that dog, and I would call him like this. I'd say, "Hey there, Sky." His name was Sky. By the way, Walter Dean Myers is a famous poet and author. He has lots and lots of books, and we have lots of these books at the middle school. He writes sports books, books about war, he has action books, all kinds of books, and poems too. All righty, here we go. March 22nd. My yellow dog followed me everywhere, every which way I turned. He was there wagging his tail and slobber coming out of his mouth when he was smiling at me all the time as if he was saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing me." And jumping on me, his shaggy, straggly paws on my chest like he was trying to hug the insides right out of me. And when us kids were playing outside kicking the ball, he'd chase after it and push it with his nose and push, 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 and getting slobber all over the ball. But no one cared because he was such a funny dog that Sky, that straggly, furry, smiling dog, Sky. He sounds great. And our dog Graham used to hug us too, like he was trying to hug us. I'd call him every morning, "Hey there, Sky." So, any of you, do you know of a dog that likes to hug people and give affection back? Dogs tend to do that seemingly more than cats. Does anyone have an affectionate cat? A cat that likes to give loving? Oh, really? Some of you do. Okay, cool. Back to our story, March 27th. Yes, you can type up what I wrote about my dog Sky, but don't type up that other secret one I wrote, the one all folded up in the envelope with tape on it. That one uses too many of Mr. Walter Dean Myers' words, and maybe Mr. Walter Dean Myers would get mad about that. Always learned about plagiarism when you steal another poet or author's words. Ooh, Jack's learned that. Can't steal the words. April and the way they're put together, the way they're written. April 4th. I was very glad to hear that Mr. Walter Dean Myers is not the sort of person who would get mad at a boy for using some of his words. And thank you for typing up my secret poem, the one that uses so many of Mr. Walter Dean Myers' words. And I like what you put at the top. Inspired by Mr. Walter Dean Myers. So that's how it's like a tribute to him. That's how the teacher thought it was okay to put up that other poem. That sounds good to my ears. Now no one will think I just copied because I couldn't think of my own words. They will know I was inspired by Mr. Walter Dean Myers. And don't put it on the board yet, okay? Is Mr. Walter Dean Myers a live person? And if he is, do you think he would ever come to our city, to our school, to our class? And if he did, we should hide my poem with his words. Hide it real good, just in case he would get mad about that. April 9th. No, 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 no. I can't do it. You should do it. You're a teacher. Oh my goodness, I know this may kill you to stop right here, but we're going to stop right here. And we're going to get back to part 2 and finish it up with the next read aloud. So I hope everyone's doing okay, and I can't wait to hear from you all. So shoot me an email. Send me an email about what you think of the story. What do you think about Jack? Anything like that. All right, I'd love to hear from you. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye, everyone.